Good morning, everyone. Sergeant Fidget reporting in, and I just woke up and we have a brand new developer update coming Dead by Daylight, presumably in the next week or two, in response to the recent Project W public test build. Yeah, I'm gonna be drinking coffee throughout this because, like I said, I didn't wake up. Oh, we got some great changes coming and some questionable changes coming, but hey, let's just dive right on into it. Bloodweb cost. Last month, we overhauled our progression system to make it easier than ever to earn perks. Under this new system, perks are now unlocked through prestige and are immediately available to use on other characters without needing to be found in the Bloodweb. Higher tier version of these perks can be earned with subsequent prestiges or randomly throughout the Bloodweb. This actually has been really nice, especially with something like the PTB, where I think I only had to level Wesker up to level 46 or something like that, and then I had every single killer perk on him right away. It was great, and not having to, spend 5-6 million blood points, whatever it used to be, to get all the perks on him to be actually able to experiment with them. We want to remedy this as soon as possible. With the release of Resident Evil Project W Chapter, we are reducing the cost of nodes in the Bloodweb by roughly 33%. See the chart below for a full cost breakdown. So, huge reduction in Bloodweb costs. Old price of an event item such as your cakes or flashlights, toolboxes, whatever, are going from 3 to 2,000. Common 3 to 2,000. Uncommon, your yellow add-ons, from 4 to 2,500. Rare from 5 to 3,250. Very rare from 6 to 4,000, and ultra rare, your eerie add-ons, from 7,000 all the way down to 5,000, which is great. That's awesome, because as we miss things like barbecue and chili and We're Gonna Live Forever, not able to get those stacks anymore. I think this reduction of costs is great. Super love it. You may be wondering, why not increase the Bloodwebs earned instead? This is a good question, and one we took into consideration. A 33% reduction in Bloodweb cost is effectively the same as increasing blood point earnings by 50% across the board. For example, 30,000 blood points can be exchanged for 15 common nodes when priced at 2,000 blood nodes each. At 3,000 blood points, you would need 45,000 blood points to get the same number of nodes. Second, the reduction makes all blood points more valuable, not just those from matches. Fair? This means that even your daily rituals and archive challenges have more purchasing power than before. True. Ultimately, we found that reducing Bloodweb cost was the fairest option and provides the best value. Hey, reduced cost? I don't think anyone's gonna complain about that. That's great. It's awesome. Super duper. Camping and tunneling. That doesn't exist in 10. Silly. In the past mid-chapter, we added 5-second endurance and haste effects to all unhooked survivors. These stat effects are designed to give the unhooked survivor a fighting chance by allowing them to get a nearby pallet or window if the killer decides to chase them again. We released this feature with safe numbers to ensure that things don't get out of hand. Now that we've had some time to see how they play out, we feel comfortable increasing them further. The 6.2.0, we will be increasing the duration of the haste and endurance effects to 10 seconds. I think old borrowed time was 11 seconds, no? Additionally, we will be increasing the haste effect to the 10% increased speed from 7%. We hope that you'll find these improvements to be much more effective in discouraging the killer from chasing the same survivor immediately after they're unhooked. I mean, so this doesn't necessarily address the camping part, because if someone is camping like a Bubba, at best, it's still going to be a trade. Sure, it'll give them a chance to get away, but if a Bubba hits them right away, they don't get the speed boost from borrowed time. They would just get the speed boost from the hit. So this doesn't really do much for camping. If it's not a one-hit down killer, like Bubba, I guess this could be good. The only way I see this being problematic, I don't know if problematic's the right word, more troublesome, is in a situation where it's the end game and maybe the killer's just trying to secure a kill, because maybe they had a rough game or whatever. And if this is a coordinated swift, the 10 seconds should be a free out. Again, unless it's like a Bubba or someone like that. In Swift, this will be really strong, as is always the thing with this game. Swift is super strong, and then solo queues are playing catch up. But if it's not a one-hit down killer and they have base 10 seconds endurance, especially if it's a hook near the door, that should be a free out for Swifts, in my opinion. Great for solo queue though, before the survivors attack me in the comments. Great for solo queue. I see the plus in this. I see how this will be good for a lot of solo queue people, but this will be really strong in coordinated Swifts now. Metal of Man. In a recent update, we released a new version of Metal of Man which worked consistently with other endurance effects. Many of you voiced concerns with this version of this perk being weaker than before, favoring a harder to earn effect that couldn't be lost. Our intention with this change was never to make the perk weaker. Therefore, alongside the chapter release, we will be reverting the recent update to Metal of Man. Metal of Man will instead grant a unique protection effect that is not canceled by conspicuous actions like endurance. To help differentiate them, the perk will no longer cause the endurance status effect to appear in the HUD when activated. Yeah, I thought it was weird that they made that perk. I thought it was weird that they made that perk worse, but like it's not a perk that you really see all that often. The only time I've ever used it when I was like doing like some sort of like meme build or whatever. So great that they unmessed up the messed up perk that they done messed up, and they messed it up, and now it's less messed up, so less messed up goodness. Good. Post PTB changes. The halls of the Raccoon City police station were packed in this PTB. Whether you were hurling survivors at literal breakneck speeds or being hurled, we want to thank you for the time to leave your feedback. We'll be making a few changes in time for release. As always, these changes are by no means final. We'll continue to monitor how everything performs and reassess once the dust has settled. We'll start with the mastermind himself, Albert Wesker. One thing we noticed during the PTB was that collision detection of the mastermind's rush was a little too sensitive, causing the killer to bump into objects that they shouldn't have. Yes, super fun power, but like if you were going by one of the desks in RPD and there was an ant on it and one of its little like legs or antennas were like sticking off the edge of it, you collide with it and lose your power. For the release, we've toned this down so you don't accidentally bump into obstacles as often or ants. Good. Ants will no longer be ruining Wesker's power. Wesker is A tier once again. We've also polished the way Virulent Bound. I did this during the last PTB too. We've also polished the way Virulent Bound, nailed it, interacts with pallets and windows. During the PTB, survivors would not take damage to the mastermind bounded towards them as they were vaulting. This was not intentional. Good, because that seemed weird. The mastermind will now hit them with his tentacles if they're caught in the middle of a vault. Additionally, survivors could wait on the other side of a pallet, vaulting back over it before the mastermind could attack after vaulting. Going forward, staying too close to a vault location as the mastermind bounds over it will result in the survivor being injured. Good, so windows aren't a pure counter to Wesker anymore, because I always thought that was weird that he had like a leaping power yet somehow windows were his kryptonite. That seemed weird, so good change. Next we revisited his power and loops. We found the base movement speeds between bounds to be a little slow, making it difficult to get in position for another bound. Yeah, when you slowed down, you were trying to use your power like a corner, you get so slow it felt like you couldn't really do much with it. For the release, we have increased the mastermind's movement speed between bounds to 2.76 meters per second from 2.3, the speed previously achieved by using the loose crank add-on. Since this add-on has been added to the base kit, we've reduced its movement speed bonus to 8% from 20% to compensate for a total of 2.98. Great. Awesome. Good change. They listened. One of the quirks is its ability to throw survivors at each other, injuring both survivors in the process. Fun. Oftentimes, those unfortunate enough to have their friends flung at them would not even realize they'd been injured. To make this more obvious, being injured from a survivor thrown by the mastermind will now cause deep wounds. Let's go! Mending, mending, mending. Last but not least, we've slightly toned down the survivor collision detection of the mastermind's bound. We found this to be a little too generous on the Ptb, allowing the killer to grab survivors that were not in front of him. I noticed this too. I wasn't sure if it was intentional or not, but it seemed to have a really wide hitbox, so now it requires more precision on the killer's part, which is good. The survivors definitely needed to have a little bit of a counterplay for that, so that's a good change. This change will require a little more precision on the killer's part and make it feel fairer to survivors. Good. That's good. On to perks. We've made a few tweaks to the new perks on the PTB as always. We'll continue to fine tune each of them as necessary once the update goes live. Reassurance. Oh my god, I'm shocked this is here. This perk allows you to pause the hook progression of another survivor, buying you and your team more time to work on generator if the killer is camping. On the PTB, Reassurance had a 40-second cooldown and could be used repeatedly when coordinated with other survivors. This could have been abused to keep the hook survivor permanently on the hook, preventing them from being sacrificed against their will. For the release, we have removed the cooldown of Reassurance. Instead, Reassurance can only be used once per hook. That's what I assumed they were going to do. The effects of this perk can still be chained together if multiple survivors are running Reassurance, but for a maximum delay of 90 seconds. This will keep the perk's effects potent without being abusable. So if you got a 4-man Swift and all of you are running Reassurance, then one by one, the ants go marching 2 by 2, hurrah. You'll be able to save your friend on hook by adding an additional 90 seconds, so 30 seconds per survivor, but you won't be able to keep them there indefinitely, which is what I assumed they were going to do, because in the previous form, you could keep survivors hostage, you could keep killers hostage, you could even get to the point where the killer could have someone on hook. Like again, but this goes back to the whole like camping thing. Like you could literally keep them on hook permanently. So the killer could, even if the killer like maybe didn't camp all game or anything like that, but then it was the end game collapse, and again they were just trying to secure a kill, which I mean some people get upset over, but it's like, what do you want the killer to do? They just want to kill at that point, right? They could have just kept them there indefinitely until they got the rescue. So I think it's really good that this perk exists. I do think it's should be base skip, but it means Dead by Daylight where fixes are just band-aid perks. We all know this at this point. I think this is good, and I think this change is a healthy change for it. Awakened Awareness. This perk grants the killer aura reading while they are carrying a survivor. On the PTB, this effect also lingers for 2 seconds after this carried survivor is dropped, hooked, or wiggled free. This effect could be a little oppressive on certain killers, especially when paired with Lethal Pursuer to extend the aura reading effect in StarStruck to make survivors exposed. I totally didn't make a video about this very exact thing on my YouTube. For the release, we removed the lingering aura reading from Awakened Awareness. As a result, Lethal Pursuer will no longer extend the duration of the Awakened aura reading. No! Nurse ruins everything. Man, that was such a fun perk to run with Lethal Pursuer, but because as I showed in that video, it's so stupidly strong on Nurse. Nurse ruins it once again. Nurse throws like so many things off in this game. So many things. A little oppressive on certain killers. Nurse. God damn it. God damn it. But fair enough. Low profile. I don't even remember this perk. Low profile hides your scratch marks and pools of blood when you become the last survivor for 70, 80, 90 seconds. Unfortunately, this meant the perk would only activate once per match, and only if you happen to be the last survivor standing. For the release, we have changed this to include anytime you are the only survivor who is not dying, hooked, or dead as well, allowing it to activate throughout the match. Additionally, low profile will also mask your grunts of pain in addition to its existing effects. So it's kind of like Off the Record, where it has old school Iron Will for the 80 seconds. Even if you take the endurance hit early on, you still get the reduced grunts of pain for the 80 seconds. Cool, great. Better than new. This perk granted any survivor you healed a 6% action speed bonus to repairing, healing, chest opening, and totem cleansing for 25, 30, 35 seconds. We found the duration of this perk to be a little low to make much use of the bonus speed. For release, we've made a few changes to this perk. Better Than New now grants a 12, 14, 16% action speed bonus to healing, chest opening, and totem cleansing and blessing. Before you freak out, not repairing. You'll notice. Not repairing, meaning you do not get a 16% speed increase to repairing generators. Read the notes. You know it. You know they're gonna freak out. It's not for repairing generators. Better Than New is no longer has a duration. Survivors instead keep this bonus until the next time they take a damage. That's like reverse gift of pain. For the first time they're healed, they're slowed down by 16% until they take damage again. Cool. Finally, we come to the Raccoon City Police Station. In this chapter, this map has been split into two, the East Wing and the West Wing. Each map includes the main hall and a small section of the opposite wing, greatly reducing its size compared to the original. We've also opened new pathways between various rooms to make the maps easier to navigate, as well as widening some hallways to make the make feel less claustrophobic and allow more interesting gameplay. To make the make. In the PTB, we found that there are too many pallets scattered around the... Oh my god, so many pallets. Around the RPD, now as the size has been reduced, we've reduced the number of pallets on the newly renovated map for when the chapter releases. Yeah, in the main room, there could be 2 god pallets in those stairs, which was crazy. And then other rooms, it felt like the game 2.0, where you were just running from pallet to pallet to pallet to pallet to pallet. Now that they're doing this with RPD, can we maybe look at Gideon Meat Plant, the game, and not have... One time I actually counted 27 pallets in the entire match, which is a pretty huge discrepancy, since on maps like Shelter Woods, you could have like 7, 27, totally the same. Good change, but maybe look at something like Gideon Meat Plant 2. Just a thought. With that, we've reached the end of this edition developer update. Everything we've covered today will appear alongside the release of Dead by Daylight Project W chapter in the coming weeks. As always, we look forward to hearing what you think once you've had a chance to try out the changes. Until next time, the Dead by Daylight team. Some good changes. Like I said, this is amazing. Like, I don't know how you could find a negative about this. Just reduced prices across the board by, I think they said 33%. Yeah, 33%. Great, awesome, super duper. Will be easier to level up your survivors and killers. Also, I'm hoping soon, because I know they mentioned it before, where they're going to look into more of the rarer add-ons spawning it, especially once you've gotten all the perks, because right now they tend to only show up in the higher blood levels before you have to reset the prestige again. So hopefully that's coming in the maybe the mid chapter of Project W, maybe, hopefully something like that. But this is great, this is good. BT base kit, the 10 seconds, great for solo queue, going to be really tough for Swifts, more so in the end game. That's what I'm worried about, again, before the survivors come at me. I'm more just talking about the end game. This is good for those who literally just hook people right at the beginning of the game, like at 5 gens, and then just try and camp and tunnel them out. Doesn't necessarily address the camping, but hey, I guess that's what reassurance is for at the same time, kind of ish, kind of, maybe. Good change, because the 5 seconds was nothing. It means super easy to count to 5. Again, I'm more worried about the end game, where if the killer is like just wants to secure a kill and they're near a door, good luck. Some really great changes though. Sad about this one, but I get it. Nurse ruins everything. If you want to see the video that I'm talking about, I'll have it linked in the description down below, where I use this perk on a StarStruck Lethal Pursuer Nurse. It went exactly as you're probably thinking it went. It was brutal. It was insanely brutal. Guys, let me know what you think of all these changes coming in the Project W release in the coming weeks, they said. So probably in the next week or two, this will be out. Maybe if we're lucky, it'll be out next Tuesday, the 30th. But at worst, probably the first week of September. Let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.